Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We've said this many times, but some of you will notice how quickly my partner goes into channel. It's not always been that way, and it still isn't for many. And it has to do, dear ones, with the countenance that you carry around with you. How close are you to what would be called the spiritual self or higher self? And you ask the question for, when you meditate, how long does it take you to get into a place that is peaceful? Or a place where you'll say, now I'm in meditation. And the more you practice it, the easier it is. And some now can sit and immediately be in that beautiful, peaceful place. So you might say it comes with practice. You might say my partner is always ready. But either way, we sit in now a beautiful place in a park, in the sun. Gentle breeze blowing, town of Sheffield, town of Murals in Tasmania. Once again, we are presented with beautiful weather in the sunshine where we can contemplate these kinds of spiritual things in a place that promotes it. You really don't have to think very hard to be in Gaia, in nature, even in a place that has been manicured by humans or prepared with the grass and the tables and the planted trees. It is still a place that responds to Gaia. We've spoken so many times of the differences between human beings and the honoring, and that's what I want to do right now. There's no title for this particular message. I'll just simply call it Honoring Humanity. And so let's put a fun little spin on the message and the metaphors. We're in a group of slightly over 45, and this particular group I address now. Each one of you has a specific kind of thing you do to make a trip of over 5 days tenable for you. And each one of you does it specifically in your own way. Let's talk about the way you pack. Now, some of you have roommates. And the roommates are not necessarily people you've known in the past. And so if you're not a traveler, often you may notice something. Different people pack different ways. Now there is the efficient packer. This would be the one who knows where everything goes all the time. This would be the one who unpacks only a portion of their suitcase if they're only staying for one night. If they're staying for 2 nights, it's a little more. If they're staying for 3, they actually use the drawers in the room. Then there is the packer who unpacks everything all the time. And absolutely everything will go out in the room, all over the room. For the only way that person knows what they have is to actually see it. I have just presented 2 different kinds of packing. And you might say, well, which one actually is correct? And the answer is the one that works for the individual. It really does go to show how different people organize, how they think, how they work, and how the honoring we have of spirit and humanity together works. We've told you before something that is controversial, that there are layers of truth, that there are many kinds of truth instead of one core truth that is good for all. This goes against what you're taught, spiritually taught. For all over the planet, the argument is, what is the correct truth? And how does one then worship the correct prophet, or perhaps the correct way of worshiping even the one God? So this little packing story is about that. Let's say, since this is kind of a spiritual retreat, that we introduce you to a magnificent, beautiful angel. And the angel is going to be called the packing angel. And the angel is then going to gather you together, and you're going to sit at the feet of this magnificent one, and that magnificent one is going to teach you the correct way to pack. Right away, there will be objections. Right away, there will be those who say, I'm not interested. I pack the way I pack. And if you tell me something else, it won't be me. Even if you're a spiritual angel right from the creative source, I'm not interested because I pack the way I pack. This is what would happen. I know humans, and it's appropriate. Every single one of you comes into this planet with an entirely different set of experiences, with wants and needs, and the way you do things, the way you think, even the way you would organize yourself spiritually. Isn't it beautiful that there is no one way to have the spiritualness that each of you carry? And we show this to you, even though you may have a multi-dimensional experience, and a packing angel with a big P on its chest would come and appear to you. There would still be those who say, even though it's a miracle, I'm not interested. I'll pack the way I pack. I give you this to show you that Spirit understands totally how different you are. In places of this nature, where Gaia is king, and there's so many things to look at and feel, each one of you will select a different way to relate. It's beautiful to watch as you will walk off and either hug a tree or just sit where you are. Some will want to stand, some will want to sit, some will want to meditate, some will simply want to disengage. And all of you will be correct. There's no right or wrong way of packing. There's no right or wrong way of honoring the creative source and that which relates to you. I don't know if you've thought about it, but let me paint another picture for you. Those in this group got to witness a beautiful story of some of the most rugged men in Australia, the ones in Tasmania you call the Piners. The ones who went in another century almost, and spent months and months in a wilderness that they knew hadn't even been plotted or mapped, and they were there cutting the pines. And they were very rugged. They epitomized the Tasmanian man, the Australian, the ruggedness. It's a beautiful lineage. It's a lovely story. And some of you got to witness their talking, even in their 80s, and what it was like. And now I want you to think for a moment. They're in the wilderness. And perhaps it's their second month out of 3. And they sit together, perhaps in the evening, in a little fire that they have created. What do they talk about? Well, naturally, it would be the Gaia story. It would be the higher self, the divas in the forest, the fairies. And you'd say, are you kidding? These are Piners, come on. And that leads you to ask this question. What do you think their spirituality was? Were they spiritual men? I will tell you, because I was there. They might not have spoken of it in so many words, but all of them were so aware of God inside. You cannot go into that kind of a country and see what you see every single moment of the day for months and months and years without a strong, absolutely strong belief, not just in yourself, but of a higher power. They carried their spirituality quietness. And their quietness in that was part of their strength. Each individual carries their own ideas of who they are, what is beyond, and no one is wrong. I once said this on another continent. I said, all mountain climbers believe in God. I spoke to one right afterwards, and he smiled and said, that was correct. We all do. It's a quiet way of celebrating the inner self, the knowingness that you've come from the stars. And so leave from this channeling, even if you're going shopping, perhaps with an idea that Spirit honors all of you for your quest. Whether you do it efficiently or put it all over the room. And so it is.